I used to think my family loved me, that they had my back, even when things got rough. But now I realize they were just holding the knife behind it, waiting for the right moment to push it in. 14 years. That's how long it took for me to find out. And now I can't look at them the same. My name's Jonah. I'm 38 now, but this all started when I was 24. Back then, I was in love, real, raw, earth-shaking love. Her name was Tessa. She had this laugh that cracked through my worst moods, and eyes that made you believe in better days. She made life feel like a sunrise. We met at a coffee shop. I was studying for my last law school exam, and she spilled her latte on my laptop. I was pissed, until I looked up and saw her panicking with the cutest, guiltiest expression. We went out that night. A year later, we were engaged. Or, I thought we were. My family was always complicated. My dad, stoic, calculating, the kind of guy who could make a compliment feel like a critique. My mom, warm on the surface but with cold hands, always just worried about me. And then there was my brother, Aaron, older by 2 years, always second best at school, sports, and later, love. Aaron couldn't keep a relationship longer than 3 months. He was charming, funny, but something never clicked for him. My parents always fretted over his loneliness like it was a terminal illness. Meanwhile, I was thriving and they smiled, but I think it stung them more than I ever realized. When I brought Tessa home for the first time, I thought they'd be thrilled. She was smart, kind, incredibly driven. My mom smiled, asked her 1,000 questions, made her tea. My dad even cracked a joke. But Aaron was quiet that whole dinner. He just stared at us, mostly at her. Looking back, I wonder if that was the moment they decided. The moment they all felt it, Jonah wins again. And maybe they just couldn't take it anymore. But at the time, I thought it was just nerves, or maybe jealousy. I never imagined they would turn it into something darker. We set a date. I was finishing law school, Tessa was working at a startup. We were broke, tired, and ridiculously happy. I still remember the night I proposed. It was raining, my knee got soaked on the pavement, and she said yes while laughing and crying at the same time. I had no idea everything was about to fall apart. It happened fast. 1 week we were wedding planning, tasting cakes and arguing over centerpieces. The next, she was gone. Tessa didn't ghost me. She detonated our engagement. 1 phone call. No explanations. Just, I can't do this, Jonah. I know about the other girl. Then she hung up. That was it. Called her. Texted. Emailed. Showed up at her apartment. Nothing. It was like she'd built a wall overnight. I stood outside in the rain, banging on her door, begging her to talk to me. She wouldn't open it. I thought she'd lost her mind. I knew I hadn't cheated. I couldn't even think of another woman. My heart broke in slow motion. Every day after that felt like some twisted dream. I started questioning my own memory. Did I flirt too much once? Did I say something stupid? Was there some overlap I didn't realize? But no, deep down I knew I was innocent, and I couldn't prove it to anyone. My friends tried to comfort me, but even they started acting weird, whispering behind my back, asking sideways questions. You sure you didn't mess up, man? Maybe she saw something online? My reputation took a hit. Nobody said it outright, but they believed her. Of course they did. Why else would she vanish? The worst part? My family said nothing. No support. My mom gave me those concerned eyes and told me maybe I'd rushed into things. My dad nodded like he'd seen it coming. Aaron just shrugged and said, maybe she wasn't the one. I thought they were being cold. I didn't know they were being guilty. I stayed single for years. Not because I didn't want to move on, I just couldn't trust people. I couldn't trust myself. What if I missed red flags again? What if I made someone else feel unsafe the way Tessa must have felt? That shame stuck to me like a scar, and no one helped peel it off. Tessa never contacted me again. She moved to another city, changed numbers. I saw her once, randomly, at a bookstore 5 years later. She looked right through me, didn't even flinch, just turned around and walked out. That night I got drunk alone, trying not to text her a final apology I didn't know. And then, 14 years later, 14, I was visiting my parents for my mom's birthday. Nothing special, just a family dinner. We'd all grown older, colder. We weren't close. And then, while I was helping her clean up dishes, she said it. I need to tell you something. About Tessa. My hands froze in the sink. I didn't look at her. I just said, what? And she repeated it. About Tessa. I could feel my pulse pounding in my ears. 14 years of silence. And now she suddenly wanted to talk. I didn't say anything, just dried my hands and sat down at the kitchen table. She wouldn't look me in the eye. Her voice got soft, like she was trying to soothe a wounded animal. Your father and we told her something back then. Something that wasn't true. My stomach dropped. I stared at her, not breathing. She kept talking. We told her you were seeing someone else. For a second, I actually laughed, like a dry, broken laugh. You what? I asked. She flinched like I'd slapped her. We didn't think you were ready, she said quickly. You were young. You had your whole life ahead of you. Marriage felt like a trap. We didn't want you ruining your future. My hands were shaking. I stood up. So you lied? You just made something up? And she believed you. She nodded. We were convincing. And Aaron. She stopped. I stepped closer. Aaron what? Her eyes watered. He helped. He told her he'd seen you with someone. He was so sad back then, Jonah. So lonely. I walked out. I didn't even take my jacket. I drove around for hours, barely thinking straight. Rage, betrayal, heartbreak. It all came back like it never left. They watched me collapse back then. They stood by and let me. And all this time, they smiled at birthdays and pretended it hadn't happened. I didn't talk to them for 2 weeks. When I finally called, I asked my dad one question. Why? His answer was cold. We were protecting you. And Aaron was in a dark place. You already had everything: school, love, success. He had nothing. We couldn't just stand by and let you leave him behind. That's when I realized it wasn't just about me. It never was. It was about Aaron. About how I'd always been one step ahead. How that made them feel. And instead of dealing with it like adults, they decided to burn down the best thing I ever had, just to keep the illusion of balance. But here's the part that gutted me the most. They never planned to tell me. If my mom hadn't cracked that night, I would have gone to my grave thinking I destroyed my own engagement. I would have carried that guilt forever. They were fine with that. That's the kind of people they are. 3 weeks later, I went back. I needed answers, or maybe just blood. I told them I was coming, and they sounded hesitant, like they knew what was coming. I didn't care. I needed to see their faces when I said the words out loud. I wanted them to feel what I'd felt for 14 years. I walked into the living room and saw them both sitting there like it was Sunday brunch. Aaron was there too. He looked older, softer, a bit balding. I hadn't said a word to him in over a year, even before all this. My mom tried to greet me, but I cut her off. Everyone sit down. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just laid it all out like a prosecutor reading a verdict. You ruined my life, I said. You shattered the only real relationship I ever had. And you all just let me rot in that pain for over a decade. My voice cracked near the end, but I didn't back down. Aaron opened his mouth to speak. I looked at him like fire. Don't you fucking say anything unless it's sorry, I snapped. He looked down. Good. My dad leaned back in his chair, like this was beneath him. You're acting like we murdered someone, he said. We were doing what we thought was best. That's when I lost it. I stood up so fast the chair slammed backward. No, you didn't do what was best. You did what was easy. You sacrificed my happiness so Aaron wouldn't feel like a loser. My mom started crying. My dad told her to calm down. I was shaking. Aaron looked pale. I loved her, I said, quieter now. I was going to marry her. You killed that. You killed us. For what? So he wouldn't feel left out. Aaron finally spoke. You always had everything, he said. And I had a nothing. They were just trying to even it out. His voice broke, but I didn't care. I looked at him. You could have had something. You could have earned something. But instead you took mine. I turned to my parents. You raised a thief and taught him it was love. The silence after that was suffocating. No one moved. No one defended themselves. And I realized then, they knew they were guilty. I want nothing to do with you, I said. You're not my family. You're just people who used to mean something. And I left. I didn't look back. I didn't want to see their faces. I didn't want to risk softening. Because if I did, they'd win. Again. The silence after that visit was almost worse than the confrontation. No calls. No texts. Just dead air. I guess they finally understood the line they crossed. Or maybe they didn't care. Honestly, I don't know which possibility hurts more. Either way, I was left standing in the wreckage, alone again. I thought cutting them off would bring peace. Didn't. For weeks I couldn't sleep. My mind kept running loops. Tessa's voice saying, I know about the other girl. The look on Aaron's face when I called him a thief. My dad's smug fucking expression. None of it gave me closure. Just more weight. I went through old boxes. Letters, photos, things I hadn't touched in years. I found the save-the-date cards we never sent. Her handwriting on the envelope. It broke something in me. I sat on the floor and cried for the first time in years. Ugly, shaking sobs. I felt 24 again. Powerless. Lost. I tried reaching out to Tessa. I don't even know what I thought would happen. Closure? Forgiveness? A second chance? Her number didn't work. I found her Facebook, but it was private. No posts, no updates. Married now, maybe. Kids. A life that should have been mine, if not for my family's betrayal. One night, I typed out a long message. Explained everything. Told her the truth. Every awful detail. I stared at the send button for hours. But I couldn't do it. What would it fix? Would it heal her, or just rip her open again? In the end, I deleted it. Maybe she deserves peace more than answers. My therapist, yes, I finally got one, said I'm grieving. Not just Tessa, but the version of my life that died when they lied. The man I could have been. The husband. The father. I never even realized how frozen I'd been in that moment, until it thawed all at once. Now I'm drowning in it. Friends started asking questions. I didn't go into detail. Just said I'm estranged from my parents. Most people didn't push. Some said family's family, like that means anything. But a few understood. They shared their own stories, quiet tragedies, private wars. I'm not alone in this hell, it turns out. Aaron messaged me last week. Said he's going to therapy. Said he's sorry. I didn't reply. I read it, closed it, and let it sit there, unanswered. He had 14 years to find his conscience. I'm not going to be his redemption arc. Not after what he took from me. Strange, the things that haunt you. I don't think about the wedding that never happened, or the honeymoon we never took. I think about brushing Tessa's hair behind her ear. The way she'd scribble notes in the margins of books. The time she sang off-key in the car and didn't care. That's what grief sounds like. I've tried dating. A few here and there. Some sweet, some forgettable. But every time I get close, something in me tightens. Like I'm waiting for it to be ripped away. Like I can't trust happiness anymore. It's been weaponized. No one prepares you for what betrayal from people you love does to your soul. I moved cities. New job, new apartment. I tell people my parents are dead. Not literally, but emotionally, yeah, they are. I think they mourn me too in their own twisted way. I imagine my mom setting a place for me at Thanksgiving like I'll come walking in. I won't. I can't. Sometimes I wonder if Tessa ever doubted it. If she sat in bed alone, piecing things together, feeling like something didn't quite add up. Or maybe she had to believe it. Maybe the pain was easier that way. Either way, she's gone. And I wasn't the one who let her go. They were. I think about sending that message every few months. Still have the draft saved somewhere. But I always decide against it. Maybe it's cowardice. Or maybe it's mercy. Truth is, I don't know what she'd even say. Thanks for telling me? You ruined my life too? Or worse, nothing at all. People talk about forgiveness like it's a cure. But some things aren't meant to be forgiven. They're meant to be carried. Like scars that don't fade, just stretch with time. I live with mine now. I run my fingers over it when I'm alone and remind myself. This pain has shape. It has origin. And it's not my fault. I don't hate my family. Not exactly. What I feel is more poisonous. It's indifference curdled into disgust. It's remembering birthdays and not texting. It's hearing their names in my head like a language I forgot. I hope they live long, long lives. Long enough to feel the hollow space where I used to be. And me? I'm still standing. Scarred, yes. Different, definitely. But I wake up. I drink my coffee. I breathe. Some days that's all I manage. Other days I laugh, even love a little. And maybe that's enough. Maybe surviving betrayal is its own kind of revenge. Quiet, patient, permanent.